What's going on YouTube? So with many cars, by the second model year, demand and attention have started to die down. But that is definitely not the case for the vehicle I am standing next to right now. This is the 2021 Kia Telluride, which might be America's favorite new three-row crossover, since there is still a wait more than a year after production started. This specific example also has the brand new Nightfall package. So let's go ahead and check that out and also see what has made the Telluride so popular. Now before I get specifically into what the new Nightfall package adds to the Telluride, I do want to tell you how you can get the Nightfall package. So it can be added to the EX with the premium package, the SX, or like on this model, the SX with Prestige package. Now, what do you get when you add that package? Well, as you'd expect, you get a lot of dark elements. This grille, of course, is blacked out, but you also notice the interior texture is totally new. We have a blacked out Kia badge. And then across the top here, Telluride is also blacked out. And compared to your other trim levels, those would have a full chrome grille. Now, coming over here to your headlights. Here with the Nightfall edition, you have some blacked out elements inside of it, and that will vary depending on which trim level you get. With this SX, this is where you'll have the full LED headlights with the really unique amber daytime running light. If you choose the lower trim levels, that's where you'll get a halogen projector beam instead. And then finally down here at the bottom, we have LED fog lights, and these are SX exclusive. Now, if you're familiar with the Telluride lineup, you'll recognize that these are wheels that have never been offered on a Telluride before. So with the Nightfall package, you get an exclusive Nightfall wheel. This is a 20-inch alloy, has a gloss black finish, and even the lug nuts and the Kia badge are going to be blacked out. Now, as far as your other trim levels, the S and the SX, those are going to have 20-inch alloys as standard, and then your LX and your EX, those are going to have 18-inch alloys as standard. And then jumping on up here, on the mirrors, you will have standard heating, power adjustment, and blind spot monitoring on all the trim levels. And then if you choose the upper end trim levels, that's where you'll add power folding.
Now with this Nightfall package Telluride, it's going to have a much sportier look, and a lot of that has to do with what Kia has done here at the side. So as you'll notice, all of this window trim is going to have a really dark smoked look, which I think is pretty neat. And then even though this is a fully loaded SX Prestige, we do just have body color door handles, once again giving it that sporty look. And then we do also have a black trim down here at the bottom. And then coming around to the rear, you have that signature Telluride look that so many Americans have fallen in love with, and I'm one of them. It has a really, really neat look, and of course, as you would expect, for this Nightfall, you're going to have some blacked out elements. So the blacked out Kia badge, the Telluride branding is going to be blacked out, and then down here at the bottom, the rear diffuser is also going to be blacked out with your signature dual exhaust pipes here on the right side. Now, as far as some of the individual elements for this SX, you will notice that we do have LED taillights. That's going to be on the top two trims, so the EX and SX will have that, and it just really has an overall very good look to it. Now, Kia was nice enough to throw in their DriveWise safety system standard across the entire Telluride lineup, so that means you're going to have all of the things that you're looking for in a modern SUV. However, if you go for the SX, it will also throw in the automatic high beams. Alright guys, so as you can tell, this Nightfall package really changes a lot of the exterior of this Telluride. So now let's go and hop into that lovely cabin before we take it out on a spin.
So on the 2021 Telluride, right away we have a change that a lot of people were requesting, and that's that we now have remote start on the key fob itself, and this is going to be standard equipment on every single trim along with the smart entry system and this key fob. Now to get inside the vehicle itself, there is not a sensor behind the handle, so you'll just press the button to unlock. I didn't actually have the camera pointed, but on approach, the mirrors actually fold out, not when you unlock it, so that's a cool touch. And then of course, checking out this cabin. This is what everybody is so obsessed with, and there's a good reason why, because it is a very, very premium atmosphere. Now of course, not every trim level is going to come with Nappa leather, so what you start out with on your LX and S is leatherette, EX and SX have real leather, and then like I said, here with the SX Prestige, that's where you get Nappa leather. Now as far as your color options, LX through EX are going to have black or gray options. If you go for the SX trim level, that adds the additional option of butterscotch or espresso, both very nice looking options. And then when you choose the SX Prestige with the Nappa leather, that's where you have the options of black, gray, or a special dune brown color. Now turning over here to your door trim, it is of course very nicely finished. We have leather that runs all through here. It is soft touch along here, and we also have a faux wood accent. Of course, all four of your windows are going to be one-touch automatic, and you will find two-person memory seating on the SX. Heading down here to your seats, this is a 10-way power adjusting seat with 2-way lumbar support and also a power thigh extension, which is very rare for this class. And of course, like I was already saying, we do have the fine Nappa leather seating. So this is an absolutely beautiful looking and feeling seat. It's certainly something we do not expect to see at this price point. Now once you're actually inside of this cabin, you'll quickly realize that it's more than just a pretty looking place. It is backed up by really nice materials as well. So across your upper dash, this is all going to be a soft touch plastic with a stitching detail. Dropping down here, we have this faux wood accent on the EX and the SX trim levels. And I have to say, this is probably the most realistic faux wood I've ever seen in any car. Even after you touch it, it actually has the feel of wood. So, you know, most people are definitely going to believe this is real wood. Dropping down, you have some more soft touch materials. Then you have one of the really cool elements of this design, and that's that we have the handlebars, of course, finished in Nappa leather with a color contrast stitching detail. Now to start up all versions of the Telluride, you will have push button start. So checking out the gauges here, what you are looking at is the premium gauge setup here on the SX trim level. It is mostly analog, but we do have a large 7-inch display there in the middle, and the other trim levels will come with a smaller display. As far as the actual functionality, of course, it does have all the expected information in here. Also on the SX trim level, it's got a really cool feature. It's called blind spot camera, and when you activate your turn signal to either side, the camera will go ahead and show you your blind spot. That's in addition to the regular blind spot monitoring in the mirror, so definitely helps with highway driving for sure. Now, since we have the Prestige package, we have an additional feature up here, and that's going to be your full color head-up display. I'll wipe the window so you can see that a little bit better. As you can tell, it's got a lot of different information. As you start driving, more things will appear. Now coming back to the steering wheel itself, we do have electric power assisted steering and a nice leather wrapped wheel. It is going to be manual adjusting across all of the trim levels, and then heating is available on both the SX and the EX trim levels. On our SX Prestige, that's where we'll get rain sensing wipers as well. Now, even though luxury is very important, it would be nothing if it didn't have utility, which is very important for the whole family. So let's go ahead and check out the interior storage. Now underneath our center console here, we have a lot of space. First we have a little removable tray, and then we have a really big center console here. Plenty of space. We can stick our coupons inside, no problem. No folding necessary either. And there is a USB port as well. In front of that, we have two cup holders. We have another little storage area. We might be able to stick a phone or a key fob. And then we press down on this, we can pop open another storage tray. Again, very generously sized. We've got two more USB ports, a 12-volt outlet, And then the floor of this actually doubles as a wireless phone charging pad for both the EX and the SX trim levels. Now, unlike the related Palisade, here at the Telluride you do have a traditional shifter. So you pull back for drive, you can bump over here to the left if you want to do some manual shifting, but there will not be paddles behind the wheel. And then when we head into reverse, you will find a very nice 360-degree camera system here on the SX trim level. All of your trims are going to have rear parking sensors, but here on this SX, this is where you also get front parking sensors as well. And I have to commend Kia on this 360 camera system. Really excellent, good resolution, everything lines up perfectly on both views, and you can switch between a few different angles as well. And then back behind the shifter, you have your knob for your various drive modes and your four-wheel drive. You've also got some middle buttons here for a few different functions, including your standard electronic parking brake. Alright, so let's jump on up here to our climate controls. Next, what you're looking at is the 3-zone automatic setup that comes on your top 2 trim levels. The lower trim levels have some manual adjustment. As you can tell, everything though is super simple to adjust here because we have all physical buttons, which I like to see. Additionally, down here on the handlebar, this is where we have our controls for our 3-stage heated and 3-stage ventilated seats. So the heating, that's going to be standard on the S trim and higher, and then the ventilation will be standard on the EX trim and higher. Alright, so now let's go ahead and sample the audio system. Now, as you expect, since we have the SX Prestige level, that's going to get us the highest end trim level, a 630 watt 10 speaker Harman Kardon sound system. So let's sample it. Yeah, overall sound quality of this system is definitely top-notch. Last year we actually went to the Harman Kardon Sound Experience where they talked about designing the sound system of this Telluride, and you can definitely tell the effort because this is probably the best sound system in a 3-row mainstream SUV. Alright, so now let's turn our attention up here to the display. So what you're looking at is the 10.25 inch display. This comes on EX and SX trim levels. The lower trim levels still come with a pretty large 8-inch display. Now this is running the latest version of the Kia Yuvo system. So everything in here is pretty much the typical Kia setup. Very simple to use, easy to understand menus and whatnot. You will find both standard Android Auto and Apple CarPlay on board, and with this larger display you will also have standard navigation. The other nice feature of this system, besides for the navigation, is that it can run in a split screen view, so you can press this little arrow here and this can pull up, you know, something over here as well as a secondary menu, or you can even have 2 maps up if you want. Now moving on from that, we will have an auto dimming mirror on the EX trim level and higher, HomeLink universal remotes on the SX trim level, and then also on the SX trim level, that's where you're going to find a dual panel moonroof. So you've got the regular size unit up there in the front, but you also have another large piece of glass in the back. That back one does have a power sunshade as well.
Alrighty guys, so I'm in the second row of this Telluride, and I have to say we've been in this Telluride quite a few times at this point, and it still impresses me just sitting back here because this is truly a luxury rear seat to the finest in this 3-row segment. Now, as far as the space is concerned, that's going to be the first luxury that you notice because it does have a lot more space than some of the rivals. It comes in at 42.4 inches of rear legroom and 40 inches of rear headroom, which is above the all-new Highlander as well as the Honda Pilot, so you're going to notice quite a bit of a benefit there. Behind rear seating position, I have 7 to 8 inches of rear legroom. My feet can easily slide up underneath the seat, so certainly very comfortable. Secondly, I do want to talk about the captain's chairs. That's going to be on the SX and S models, and then the LX and EX are going to have the bench seating. And then as far as your features are concerned, We do have cup holders up here in the top, and then if we drop down, we have a household style outlet as well as a 12-volt outlet. But your main controls are going to be up here on the ceiling, and that's going to be for your climate. All the Tellurides are going to have climate controls up here at the top, and then you do have your vents beside that. I do also want to point out another SX Prestige kind of exclusive touch, and that is this absolutely ridiculously nice headliner. Like I said, this is on the SX Prestige, and this is way nicer than honestly most luxury cars headliners. This is phenomenal. And then off to the side on the door is where you're going to find another SX Prestige touch, and that's going to be 3-stage heated and ventilated rear seats. You heard me right, ventilated rear seats in this Telluride, and that's something that, you know, we did a $100,000 Escalade a few days ago, and that's just not even available, so that's quite impressive. And then you do also have a rear window sunshade. Now this is a 3-row SUV, so Kia does need to make this entry pretty easy, and I'm pleased to say that they have. All you have to do is locate this little button right here. It's a one press, and as you can see, it folds it and slides it right out of the way, which is very simple and nice for families. Now, hopping into the 3rd row itself. Now, as far as the legroom, you're going to have 31 inches of rear legroom, 38 inches of rear headroom, which is on par with its rivals. And, you know, I have to say this is actually a really good 3rd row. This seat is actually slid all the way back, and I have about 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches of rear legroom. Also worth mentioning is that thigh support's pretty good for this type of vehicle. It's better than something like a Toyota Highlander, and my feet can even slide up under this 2nd row seat. Now, as far as your features are concerned, we do have cup holders off to the side. We have a USB port as well as some lighting, and we do even have vents up top. Now walking up to this Telluride's cargo department, you are going to have a hands-free power tailgate. That's going to be standard on the EX and SX trims, although we do not have it activated right now. It's that smart trunk kind that when you just walk up, it just goes ahead and opens. And then once we open it up, you are going to find 21 cubic feet of space behind the 3rd row seats. That expands to 46 if you fold the 3rd row. And then as a maximum, you have 87 cubic feet, which does make this very large for this segment of vehicle. It's larger than the Toyota Highlander, so you're definitely going to notice that space benefit. And as far as how Kia has finished it, we do have a carpeting along the floor. And if we lift it up, there's even quite a bit of additional storage. It goes down probably 6 to 7 inches, so you could fit quite a bit of stuff in there. And then as far as your buttons off to the side, you have a 12-volt power outlet, as well as buttons to fold the 2nd row. However, it is worth noting that you're not going to have the power folding 3rd row, which is something that the Hyundai Palisade offers. Now your passenger seat on the EX and SX models is going to be 8-way power adjusting. And then in front, we do have a really nice glove box. It's nicely felt lined, and you can fit quite a bit of stuff in here, although it's not quite as big as I would like. And then up top, we do have a sun visor. It does have LED lighting as well as a large mirror, and it does also detach and extend.
So of course, here in the 2021 Telluride, we're going to have the same engine as last year, 3.8 liter V6, 291 horsepower, 262 pound-feet of torque. So really nice numbers for the class. A lot of the rivals actually have turbo 4-cylinders, so it's a good starting point that you get a standard V6. And it's just a very smooth engine. As you can probably tell from that acceleration, that was a pretty decently hard acceleration, and it doesn't feel strained in any way. It just has a lot of refinement to that engine. Right, and you know, last year with the 2020 model, we did drive that in a variety of different places, including here in Lexington, California, Georgia. So we have some experience in different types of terrain, you know, whether you're going up and down hills, whatever you're doing. You know, it really seems to have plenty adequate power. I doubt that anyone would have any complaints about it.
and just getting up to speed there. This is what this Telluride is all about. You know, as Drew mentioned earlier, we have very extensive experience with this Telluride, and I have to say, you know, first and foremost, this vehicle's priority is comfort, and this is just a phenomenal offering. This is better than, you know, a Honda Pilot is really phenomenal when it comes to the comfort side of things, but I would say this is as good, if not better, more even of a luxury experience, just because, you know, when you get up to speed, we're going around 50 miles per hour right now, and just take a moment to listen, and I will get a sound sample of just how quiet it is in here. Yeah, we're looking at 54 decibels, which is really, really good. That's one of the lowest readings that we've gotten for this strip of road.
As far as the other aspect of the powertrain, we've got an 8-speed automatic transmission on board. Very responsive transmission. I've got no complaints about it. As you could probably just tell right then, you know, it's not like a sleepy transmission. Some transmissions can be very super fuel economy focused, let's say, and resistant to shifting down a gear to get you up to speed, but that's not the case with this. I feel like it's always ready to rock and roll, which is something I definitely appreciate.
And as far as your drivetrains, you're going to have standard front-wheel drive or optional torque vectoring all-wheel drive on this Telluride, and that's going to be across all of the trim levels that you can select that. Now, let's go ahead and discuss the airball and slam dunk for this Telluride. It's really difficult to pinpoint a specific slam dunk for this vehicle because, honestly, the whole thing feels like a slam dunk. But if I were to pick one thing, I would say it's just a luxury experience that you get. Nothing in this class of vehicle is going to give you the luxury experience you get in this. This truly feels like a luxury 3-row SUV, and that is something that cannot be said about the rivals like the Honda Pilot. The Toyota Highlander is, don't get me wrong,
pretty close.
It's good, but this just gives you the whole experience, and that's really just what I want to hammer in, is that this vehicle gives you that luxury experience through and through.
And of course, that does mean on the airball side of things, it's also very difficult to find something specific to complain about. But I think the one thing that definitely seems to be a problem is supply.
Yep.
That's kind of an interesting airball, but this is not a SUV that you can readily go to your dealership and get still. And it's been in production for over a year. So, I mean, that speaks a lot about the SUV. But also, you know, we definitely would love to see more supply because it is difficult for customers that want this SUV to actually get their hands on it. And, you know, that could be driving some people to some of the rivals if they don't want to wait. So that's something to keep in mind for sure. Now, I don't want to forget to mention the dynamics here with the Telluride, because even though this is a 3-row SUV, you know, it still is important how it handles different situations like this country road that we're on right now. This is another area I really like about the Telluride because I feel like it hides its size really well. This is not smaller than the competition, but out here on this back road, as well as just like maneuvering it in parking lots and stuff like that, it feels smaller than the competition.
And lastly, let's go ahead and mention the fuel economy for this Telluride. So for the front-wheel drive model, it's going to be rated at 20 city, 26 highway, 23 combined. If you go for all-wheel drive, it's 19 city, 24 highway, 21 combined, which is really right in line with its competitive set, so you're not really sacrificing much for that standard V6 engine. So pretty competitive numbers there. Now, if you're lucky enough to get your hands on one of these Tellurides, you may be curious as to how much it's going to cost. So for the front-wheel drive models, that's what I'm going to read off right now. The LX is going to start at $31,990 for 2021. The S is $34,390, EX is $37,390, and then you have the SX, which is what we have here at $42,190. And then if you want all-wheel drive, that's going to be an additional $2,000 on top of that.
And that's a very small price increase over last year, which really is commendable for Kia, because they really could have increased the price quite a bit knowing the demand that this vehicle has on it right now.
Oh, absolutely. Now, as far as how this one is equipped, so we do have the SX Prestige package, which throws in all of your goodies. That's $2,300. The towing package is $795. Then the carpeted floor mats is $210. And then when you add in the Nightfall edition, which is what we have, that's a $1,295 option. And then the destination is $1,170 to bring this one's total as equipped to $49,860. And it is worth noting that's as high dollar as you can get this Telluride. That's the fully loaded SX Prestige with the optional Nightfall package. Right. So this is top dollar, and that's about $2,000 less than the Toyota Highlander Platinum, as well as the Pilot Black Edition. So you're looking at a value.
Now we're gonna finish up this review just by talking about that demand again, because I feel like that's the greatest testament to the Telluride and just how good that it truly is. This specific example, likely as soon as we bring it back here, there are people waiting right now to buy this, and this will be gone by the end of the day today.
Yep.
And that to me just speaks volumes about the Telluride and like just how phenomenal of an SUV this is. Like when the worst thing you can say about it is that they're not making enough of them, that really says something. So if you're in the market for a three-row crossover, if you can find one, make sure you come out and test drive one. You might have to place an order and wait for it for a bit, but it could be very well worth it for you.
Well guys, that's going to wrap up this in-depth look at the 2021 Kia Telluride SX Nightfall package, Prestige, all of it fully loaded up. We really enjoyed filming this video, and if you enjoyed this video, there's a lot more Telluride content on the channel. We have comparisons against the Highlander, its main rivals, as well as tons of other car content if you're interested in cars at all. So be sure to hit that subscribe button, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.